What Yohanga Khan is going through at the moment. He, of course, but I wonder how that will affect him. Let's go and join Murray Walker now, live at Lyng.
Welcome back to Lyng for the vital third round of the Lyng British Motocross Championship, in which Dave Thorpe is riding in spite of his spectacular fall in the last leg, about which I've just spoken to him. Dave, it's nice to see you looking in such good shape. First of all, I'm sure you'd like to reassure your wife Sharon that you really are okay.
Yeah, I just rang Sharon and I'd just like to say that I'm 100% and I'm ready for the next race.
Marvellous news, but going back to the last race, the reason you came off was because you were trying so hard after a bad start. What happened there?
Well, in actual fact, I made a good start to the first two bends, and then a rider went down in front of me, which I hit, and then it made me go off the track and crash. So I had to go like around off the track and back in where I went out, and then, you know, it was uphill from then on, really.
You came up from 21st to 9th. Look at the screen, Dave. This is what happened. Tell us.
Well, I was just trying to pass Rob Herring on the outside, and I lost it on the exit of the sandpit, and from then on it was just a matter of where I was going to land and where everything else was going to land, really. I was very fortunate, I think.
You certainly were. I hazarded at the time that you had been badly winded. Was that the case?
Well, when I always work on the theory that when I have a bad crash, I prefer just to lay there and get all my senses and get everything back under control, and that's what I did.
And after your little rest, you really are okay for the next race?
Yeah, my main problem is to contain my frustration in losing that race. That's going to be my main problem.
Well, there is the Iron Man, Dave Thorpe, who's had a rest in his motorhome, chatted with his father, Keith, assures me that he is perfectly okay, that he intends to win this race, and that if he does so, anyway, his winnings are going to the British Red Cross, who were the people that helped him, and not St. John, so my apologies to the British Red Cross. And there they are, lined up for the final third leg, 25 minutes plus 2 laps. So that's going to have been some 80 or 90 minutes riding in all. That's the man who is second overall so far. That's Rob Andrews, who is riding a Honda like Dave Thorpe. Rob Andrews, who comes from Earl's Croom and is one of John Banks's entries. John Banks, the ex-British motocross champion and second in the World Championship. And there is Kurt Nickel, who won the second leg very convincingly and is sixth in the World Championship, second in the British Championship, 22 points behind Dave Thorpe. Now there's the confirmation. Dave Thorpe leads the championship at the moment, 22 points ahead of Kurt Nickel, and Kurt Nickel is 39 points ahead of Rob Andrews, who you have just seen, who is 13 points ahead of Laurie Spence, who's here but not riding because he has an injured arm. Then in 5th position, Greg Hansen ahead of Andy Nichols in 6th place, and if Nichols twists his grip right, he could actually move up into 4th place overall at the end of this race. And from the way he has been riding, because he finished in 4th position in the first leg, second in the second leg, he could well do just that. Number 9, nearest the camera, the Scottish champion, Willie Simpson, who won the Hants Grand National on Good Friday on his Honda. So again, they wait for those T-pieces in front of them to drop into the ground. Go! And it's another demon start from Andy Nichols. He has led from the first leg and the second leg, but he's in second position on this leg. And another lightning start from Julian Clark, who was extremely quick away when they lowered the grid on the second leg. There he is leading. Andy Nichols is in third position at the moment. Dave Thorpe probably taking it easy by his standards. And Kurt Nickel left. Kurt Nickel, who won the second leg, stationary there, and with him Martin Cole. Well, that's a cruel, cruel blow for Kurt Nickel. Once again, Dave Thorpe didn't get away particularly well, but this was Kurt Nickel's opportunity. If he could have finished ahead of Dave Thorpe, he could have closed the gap between himself and the overall championship leader, but it looks as though it was not to be. Meantime, it's still Julian Clark there in the lead, 21 years old from Sevenoaks, riding incidentally with an Irish licence for all sorts of reasons I won't bore you with. And now, look at the battle for second position. Look at the battle for second position. Nearly off there. And it's Andy Nichols in third place, going for second, and he's through. Nichols moves up into second position, and off goes Willie Simpson. Well, I don't know if the sand is bothering them. It's no worse in this leg than it was in the first and second. But Willie Simpson, who's a pretty experienced competitor, looks as though he, like Thorpe, was winded there. And Thorpe is certainly not in the first six on this, the first lap. Nichols closing on the leader. There he goes. Number 8, 21-year-old Andy Nichols. And as they go over the crest, look, there is Thorpe. There is Thorpe, and I estimate that he's in 12th position. Dave Thorpe 12th on lap 1. Well, he can do it. The leaders go into the right-hander and out again, and leading now is young Brian Wheeler. This is an incredible bit of riding. And Nichols still there. So, in the lead, 18-year-old Brian Wheeler from Wootton Underage. He's certainly never been as far up the field as that. 18 years old, he's in the top 40 British riders. He's riding a Kawasaki, a Japanese machine, which, like all the others, is a single-cylinder, two-stroke water-cooled machine, except that the Yamahas aren't water-cooled. But there's Wheeler riding a superb race. Even if he loses the lead, he can go back at the end of today to his home and say, I led a British Championship leg. And in 18 years, that's something to be very proud of indeed. By the way, Rob Herring, who finished in third position, 18 years old, on his 250 Yamaha in the previous leg, is in 10th position in this race. So, Wheeler, number 37. Look at the way he takes the corner, tucks in tight to the tyres, and he's maintaining his lead over Andy Nichols in second position. In third place, at the end of the first lap, Greg Hansen, who was not in the top 6 in the first two legs, largely, I'm sure, due to the fact that he's still suffering from a knee injury. He's had cartilage trouble. In fourth position, yet another Kawasaki. It's their day today so far in this leg, and down goes the leader. He was obviously trying a bit too hard, so Andy Nichols goes up into the lead. That is the problem of a comparative lack of experience. Brian Wheeler loses it, but if Dave Thorpe can lose it as he did in the previous leg, anybody can. Now, Andy Nichols once again leads, but gaining on him is Greg Hansen. Greg Hansen, number 4, look for him, there he is, Greg Hansen, who has recently returned from New Zealand, having won the New Zealand Championship. And here's how the lead changed. Now, there goes Wheeler. You can see down goes his foot to correct. Over the bars, a neat flip. His machine misses him, stands up, makes a good recovery, but then, of course, on a downhill slope, he has the problem of picking the machine up, and that led Andy Nichols through into the lead, and Dave Thorpe is now in 8th position. The world champion, there he is, Dave Thorpe, on lap 3 in what will be, I estimate, a 14-lap race, is up into 8th position. There he is, closing on Rob Herring in front of him on the 250 Yamaha, who is 7th. And in 6th position, number 32 is Julian Clark, and Thorpe goes. Oh, now you can see a combination of skill and sheer courage, because Thorpe took one of the nastiest visual falls I have seen for a very, very long time in that previous leg, and he's fought back. It shows what superlative physical condition he is in. And he's now closing on number 32, Julian Clark, with Andy Nichols still in the lead. And it was just these sort of circumstances that made Dave Thorpe lose his machine in the previous leg because he was up to 9th position and trying to take Rob Herring at the time, when through just going a whisker too quick as he came into the sand bunker, he lost the Honda, and he's not making up any time and space on number 32 in front of him there, Julian Clark at the moment. And we wait now for Andy Nichols to come through at the end of his 3rd lap. Thorpe has still not caught Julian Clark. As I talk to you, there is the leader. Now we'll see what the gap is between Nichols in the lead, chased by Greg Hansen in 2nd place, with Derek Roberts in 3rd position, with in 4th place Mark Banks on the Honda, and Dave Thorpe is now 11.3 seconds behind the leader. You'll see Dave Thorpe in a moment, and this is lap 4. Well, there he is. There is Dave Thorpe in 6th position at the end of the 3rd lap, 14-lap race. He can do it. Nichols leads, number 8 on the Kawasaki, the man who led the 2nd leg, but who, as I had thought, was tiring, because until today he had not ridden a full distance race this season, and 25 minutes of this plus 2 laps is very, very tiring. Stamina sapping. Number 4, Greg Hansen, 2nd position, 22 years old, comes from High Wycombe. But there's the leader. So Andy Nichols has ridden some half hour for the 1st leg at this speed, half hour in the 2nd leg, about 10 minutes or so in this one, so he has already ridden some 70 minutes at this grueling pace, but he's had a good reward. 4th in the 1st leg, 2nd in the 2nd leg. He has 30 points so far. You get 20 points for a 1st place, 17 for 2nd, 15 for 3rd, 13 for 4th, and so on. And Andy Nichols now is not far off completing his 4th lap, right off the saddle there. Got his foot back on the peg in the nick of time. And he's keeping ahead of 22-year-old Greg Hansen. And I remind you that Greg Hansen is the man who is suffering from the after effects of a knee injury. He's had some cartilage removed, and he's riding with his knee in a brace. They complete their 4th lap. In 3rd position now, Mark Banks. You'll see the red Honda of Mark Banks. Rob Herring on the 250 is in 4th position. Dave Thorpe is still in 6th place and still 11 seconds behind the leader. Confirmation. And Andy Nichols leads. Greg Hansen 2nd. Mark Banks, son of John, in 3rd position. Rob Herring on the 250 Yamaha 4th. Then Roberts in 5th position, and Dave Thorpe is 6th, but not gaining at the present moment. Battle for the lead. Bumpy, dusty, rutty. Dave Thorpe, number 1, world champion. Down into the dip. Number 27 on the Kawasaki is Derek Roberts, 19 years old, 5th position. So Thorpe is not exactly scything his way through the field. In the previous leg, the reason he got away so badly and was only in 21st position at the end of the 1st lap, that's the leader, Andy Nichols, number 8, is that Mark Banks either dropped his machine, stopped his machine, or whatever, in front of Dave Thorpe as the race started, and Dave Thorpe literally had to stop and ride round him, and of course everybody else virtually was long gone. And number 4, Greg Hansen, challenging on lap 5 out of 14 for the lead, with Andy Nichols holding it. Greg Hansen, the British 125cc champion of 1986, in 2nd position, number 4. So he has moved up into the senior category, the big class, with distinction. Greg Hansen in 2nd position. Dark, cheerful. Greg Hansen is slowly whittling down Andy Nichols' lead. And Nichols, we can expect from the previous leg to tire. If he tired in about 2/3 of the way through the previous leg, he's ever likely to do the same in this one. And Rob Herring is still in 4th position. Up into 5th place now comes Dave Thorpe. And there is the battle for the lead. Now, let's see them through. There is Andy Nichols, chased by Greg Hansen. There in 3rd position, number 15, Mark Banks. Followed in 4th place by Rob Herring on the 250. There in 5th place is world champion and British Championship leader Dave Thorpe, the British champion of 1983, 4, 5 and 6, and leading the championship this year. Certainly one of the greatest motocross riders that Britain has ever produced, and to rank with people like Jeff Smith, Dave Vickers and so on, and with 2 championships under his belt already, and at least he says another 5 years in riding, we can expect him to do the same again. Nichols leads. Andy Nichols, number 8, Kawasaki. Watch the way as he looks over his shoulder. He uses his legs as shock absorbers, stands up on the footrest when it's very bumpy to stop his spine taking that dreadful pounding as they go at speed over the bumps, sits down when it's a bit smoother, and there's not much of that here at Lyng. Conditions absolutely superlatively good. Bright sunshine, nice dry course, no dust, no mud. This is the best of motocross. And Greg Hansen is with Andy Nichols on lap 6. Behind Andy Nichols in 3rd position, it is still Mark Banks. 4th is Rob Herring, another superb ride by the 18-year-old rider on the 250 Yamaha, but we can expect Dave Thorpe to catch and pass him soon by virtue of his superior experience and the fact that he's on a 500, double the capacity. Now, Herring and Banks are catching the leaders. And there's a much longer gap. Dave Thorpe has lost time because he is now 16 seconds behind the battle for the lead, and it was 11 seconds. Dave Thorpe is 16 seconds behind the battle for the lead between number 8, Andy Nichols, number 4, Greg Hansen, and catching both of them. Number 15, Mark Banks. You can see the shadow of Banks' machine in the background. There it is, young Mark Banks, who actually led Dave Thorpe in the French Grand Prix this year, in the Spanish Grand Prix, I'm sorry, and would have won, except that in the last 1.5 laps, he took it a bit too easy going into a swampy bit and stopped. And Banks, Mark Banks, is catching Greg Hansen. So, on the left, Andy Nichols, the leader. Next, Greg Hansen, both on Kawasaki's. That is John Banks, number 15 on the Honda, in 4th position, and holding them magnificently is Rob Herring on the 250 Yamaha. So we have 2 Kawasaki's, a Honda and a Yamaha in the top 5 positions. With down goes Herring. Down goes Rob Herring, 18 years old, 4th position. He's kept the engine running. He held the clutch lever in. That was a good bit of cool thinking. He did not lose the prop, he kept the engine running, but that will have enabled Dave Thorpe to close up a bit on the 4th place man, Rob Herring. Here's the battle for the lead. 3 men fighting for it. Nichols, Hansen, Banks, through on the inside of a lapped rider. Up the hill they go. This is almost the end of lap 7 in this 14-lap race. How is Thorpe faring against Herring as Nichols drops down the hill? Banks closing. There's Thorpe going up the hill. It was 16 seconds. Herring is through in 4th position. Andy Nichols, number 8, leads. And Dave Thorpe is dropping back all the time. The gap now between Dave Thorpe in 5th position and Andy Nichols, the leader, as you look at number 15, Mark Banks, in 3rd place, is nearly 20 seconds. So, I mean, I'm not saying this in any sense critically, because it's a miracle that Thorpe is in this race at all. And if he's tired and shaken, it is not to be wondered at. What is to be wondered at is that he's in 5th place. And in 5th place, he is on 11 points to add to the 20 that he already has. And Kurt Nickel, of course, who had such a dreadful start, is trying to fight his way up through the field, but is certainly not in the points. So Dave Thorpe, notwithstanding the fact that he's in 5th position, is increasing his British Championship lead in this Lyng-sponsored series over Kurt Nickel. You look at the leader, Andy Nichols. Watch the way he uses his body, puts his weight in the right place. Rides smoothly. And he's keeping ahead of the 2nd place man, Greg Hansen. Greg Hansen will be tiring, I suspect, because of his knee problem, and this is Mark Banks' opportunity. Mark Banks, who feels he has something to prove. He did not have a good 2nd leg because of that bad start, and he would dearly love to take these two, and he has got 7 laps in which to do it, including the one that they are on. 25 minutes plus 2 laps is the length of the race. 500 Kawasaki leads, 500 Kawasaki second, there's the leader, there's the second one, and there's the 500 Honda. Number 15, 19-year-old Mark Banks from Bury St Edmunds, just back from California, where he rode in the Golden State Series. He had a big crash at Nantwich last year, broke his leg, but he's now okay. And you can see how okay he is, because he's now in a position to take Greg Hansen at 2nd position. Hansen, of course, will know he's there, and you often get a lot of gamesmanship with the riders shouting at each other. Like, move over is one of the politer things they say. And there may even be some verbal dialogue going on. As Banks now, I think, is going through. No, Greg Hansen still holds that 2nd position. Through on the inside of Martin Cole, number 23 they go. He's lapped. Wonderful scrap between these two. Look at the speed they're going over this rough, rugged territory, and it's giving Andy Nichols the opportunity to break away a bit. Still in 4th place, Rob Herring on the 250 Yamaha. Still 5th is world champion Dave Thorpe. In 6th position, it's Derek Roberts, but up into 7th place now is Kurt Nickel. And as number 4, Greg Hansen is about to lose that 2nd place, or is he, to Mark Banks, who's got the inside line on the corner and is through. Mark Banks takes it and nonchalantly lifts his left hand off the clutch lever on the handlebar and waves a thank you to Greg Hansen as he goes through. Well, a lovely bit of riding by Mark Banks. His father, John, is here. Mark Banks' grandfather was the mayor of Bury St Edmunds. And there's the leader. We haven't seen him for a while, but he's very much about the place. Andy Nichols on his own, but now this is Banks' opportunity. The red Honda, ridden by Mark Banks, just crest the skyline there. The gap between Andy Nichols in the lead and Banks in 2nd position is 2.8 seconds. Down to 3rd position goes Greg Hansen. 4th is still Rob Herring on his own. Behind Rob Herring, a long way back now in 5th position, is Dave Thorpe. And there is about 5 minutes to go before the board goes up, which indicates to the riders that they have got 2 laps to go. Dave Thorpe is still circulating in 5th position. He's obviously decided that discretion is the better part of valor. After all, he has the World Championship to think about, as well as the British Championship, and he has already failed to achieve his 1987 objective of winning every round of the British Championship. So he might as well give best on this one. So Nichols leads, Banks second on the Honda, Hansen third on the Kawasaki, Herring fourth on the 250 Yamaha, Dave Thorpe, the world champion, fifth on the 500 Honda, and sixth Derek Roberts, 19-year-old Derek Roberts on the Kawasaki, the leader. Andy Nichols fourth in the first leg, second in the second leg, which he led for a long time until he tired in about the last 2 or 3 laps. Is he going to do it again? Mark Banks wearing away at him, has got the leader in sight, will know what the position is. Up the hill goes Nichols, there chasing him is Mark Banks. Their machines virtually identical in performance and handling, braking and all the other characteristics. There's Greg Hansen in third position, dropping back a bit. Well, Banks is getting closer all the time into the right-hander before the final hill at the end of the 10th lap with 4 laps to go, and this is where Banks could do it. He could come through on the inside, but no, he's riding a very cool, sensible race. Andy Nichols, Mark Banks complete the lap. Greg Hansen is only 2 seconds behind them. Rob Herring is only 6 seconds behind them on the 250 Yamaha. What a superb afternoon this 18-year-old rider is having. Not a star of the future, he's a star of today. There's the third man. Here's Banks. And Dave Thorpe is now some 30 seconds behind the leaders. Nothing to be worried about, as I say. It's quite superb that he should be in the race at all. And the Honda baton has been picked up with a vengeance by Mark Banks. There is Dave Thorpe riding a steady race. You can imagine falling off at the speed that he did and taking a tumble as hard as he did in that previous leg and still turning out and riding. Never mind riding at this speed in 5th position. I can't. It's quite incredible. Andy Nichols leads. Still. Mark Banks on the left. Here they go. This is lap 11. Banks through, Banks through, Banks leads for the first time on lap 11. And it looks to me now, with Greg Hansen starting to close up again, as though maybe Andy Nichols, who tired in the second leg, is now starting to tire in the third and final leg, because look at the way Mark Banks is already pulling away. And if Mark Banks wins this race, and Hansen is going through to take second place from Andy Nichols, if Mark Banks wins, it will be his... And Hansen does go through, cuts across the front of Andy Nichols' Kawasaki, so Nichols has got a tiring problem, and I will finish saying that if Mark Banks wins, it will be the first time that he's won anything as important as this, a round of the British Championship. And he will have done this at the age of 19. He leads now from Greg Hansen by 2 seconds, from Andy Nichols by 5 seconds, and Rob Herring on the 250 is only 8 seconds behind the leader. So there is Nichols. Now look at the way Rob Herring is riding. Number 14, 18-year-old Rob Herring, who rode magnificently in the British Support Series last year, won 6 rounds, moved up into the senior category, the top 40, has proved himself a real star and is a potential world champion in the making. And I say again that he's on a machine of half the capacity of the ones in front of him. His bike producing rather more than 40 brake horsepower, theirs producing rather more than 60 brake horsepower, and he's still as close to the third, second and first men as he is on lap 12. And at the end of this, I think that official with the board should be coming out to signify that the last 2 laps are starting at the conclusion of 25 minutes, with now Mark Banks leading and Greg Hansen second, Andy Nichols third, and the man you're watching, 18-year-old Rob Herring on the 250 Yamaha in 4th place ahead of Dave Thorpe 5th and Kurt Nicol in 6th position. Here's the leader. Well, Bury St Edmunds can stand up and cheer when young Mark Banks gets home, because he will have ridden a superb race. Look at the lead that he has now over Greg Hansen, who's moved up to 2nd place on the Kawasaki ahead of Andy Nichols. Mark Banks was sent away to California by his father, that's Greg Hansen in 2nd place in the winter, to recover from his leg injury. And he's coming through to complete the lap now. And the lead, he's 2 seconds ahead of Greg Hansen, who is 3 seconds ahead of Nichols, who is 2 seconds ahead of Rob Herring. And there is Banks. Now you can, some points of the course, you can see all 4 riders. There's not much in it now. The board is out, so the leader, Mark Banks, there in the foreground, with Hansen going through number 4, is on the penultimate lap. No change from that situation. They are now on lap 13. 1 lap to go at the end of this one. Greg Hansen, he can be very pleased with himself too if he stays where he is. Terrific fillip to him, psychologically. Because it's a big step upwards from 125cc to 500cc. Greg Hansen took it by going to New Zealand and winning the championship in the winter there. And he's got a very, very nice style. Andy Nichols, I think, I'm trying to do some frantic mental arithmetic while I talk to you, but it looks to me as though Andy Nichols is going to have won overall. When he started this leg, he had 30 points. He will get another 15 to go with it, 45 points in all. But all that is subject to official confirmation. Meantime, here is the leader. The distinctive style of Mark Banks, perfectly proportioned for a motocross rider, I think. And he's got the right mental attitude too. Greg Hansen, 2nd place, Kawasaki. Now, the leader is almost into his last lap. He leads Greg Hansen by 2.35 seconds, and Mark Banks is now on his last lap. In 3rd position now, it is Rob Herring, because out of the picture, quite literally, has gone Andy Nichols. Andy Nichols has gone missing. Rob Herring moves on the 250 Yamaha up into 3rd position. Down to 4th place has gone Andy Nichols, and Dave Thorpe has got him in his sights. Dave Thorpe has got Andy Nichols in 4th position in his sights. Andy is really tiring, but you look now at the new 3rd place man, Rob Herring. In front of him, Greg Hansen on the Kawasaki, and the leader, Mark Banks, number 15. There he is on his last lap, and I think Dave Thorpe is on target to finish a fine 4th place. There's Mark Banks. Great ride. So the Honda leaping across the crests. Mark Banks timing his landing on the saddle to perfection. Looks over his shoulder. No problem, Mark. You're well away from Greg Hansen on the Kawasaki. In 3rd position, Rob Herring. And in many ways, Rob Herring is, in my opinion, the rider of the day, because to finish third in the second leg, and third in the second leg, and sixth in the first leg, as he will have done if he stays where he is now, is a superb performance. There goes Banks now, up the hill, the last hill, and he has a lead over Greg Hansen as he does so of some 5 seconds. So Banks could almost pull out the clutch and coast in. Now he's going to have won the third leg of the Lyng British Championship round here at Lyng. He does so in second position. Greg Hansen on the Kawasaki. There he is, just across the line. We're waiting now for the... And Thorpe is right up with as they go up the hill. You'll see them come over the crest of the hill at the moment. There is Andy Nichols. There is Dave Thorpe behind him. And Dave Thorpe could move up and take this fourth place at the last moment, but it doesn't look as though he's going to do so. He's sensibly not stretching himself, and Andy Nichols finishes fourth. Dave Thorpe there, the world champion, finishes in fifth place, and in sixth position behind Dave Thorpe is just coming into the picture and across the line, Kurt Nicholl. Confirmation, Mark Banks, the winner on the Honda. Greg Hansen in second place on the Kawasaki. Third, Rob Herring on the 250 Yamaha. In fourth position, Andy Nichols on the Kawasaki. Fifth, Dave Thorpe on the Honda. And in sixth position, Kurt Nicholl on a Kawasaki.
I think it was really quite a brave performance that by Dave Thorpe after that nasty fall in the second race. No doubt about it though, we've got a really open competition in the British Championship there.